Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, students. Depending on where you're watching me from, welcome back to our basic chemistry series. This is video number 8 of this series. And in this section, I want to discuss naming of chemical compounds. But before we begin, I want to appeal that if you have not subscribed to this channel, please click on that subscribe button there to follow the channel, and also tap on that bell icon close to it so that anytime we post a video, you'll be notified. I want to also assure you that you are going to learn something very spectacular in this particular section, and then your journey of chemistry will be very smooth in your educational life. Now, before we begin, I want to bring up an acronym called Iupac. Iupac is the short form of the name of a body that governs chemistry, or that determines the way a chemical compound or a compound in chemistry is named. Now, the full meaning of this Iupac is International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. So it's a short form. That's why it's called an acronym. So this body now determines the naming of compounds in chemistry. Okay, so what I explained in the previous video about writing chemical formulas is all based on Iupac. Okay, so now we want to talk about, if you are given the formula of a compound in chemistry and you are required to name that compound according to Iupac. So the question is going to say, what is the Iupac name of this compound? Okay, so that's when you begin to do what I'm going to explain to you in this video. Now, let's begin. Number one, if I ask you to give me the Iupac name of a compound like Na2SO4, I ask you to name the compound. Pay attention very well. What you will do now is you look at the element that is in the middle. The element that is in the middle here is sulfur. So I have sodium and oxygen. But the element in the middle is the element that is of interest now. So if you want to name the compound, you will calculate what we call the oxidation state. The oxidation state of the element that is in the middle. Take note of why I explained it. We will calculate the oxidation state of the element that is where? In the middle. How do we do that? We will look at the oxidation number of the other elements in the compound. Now I have sodium, I have oxygen. So I will use the two to now solve for sulfur. Now, follow me very well so you can understand it. Now, let us find the oxidation number of sodium. Sodium is number 11. I taught you in the previous videos, which is 281. So the oxidation number is +1. Okay. Now, we have, you bring down that +1. Please, if you have not watched the previous videos, you need to refer to those videos before you can understand this one, because you need the oxidation number to be able to solve this thing very well. So the oxidation number of sodium is +1, but because sodium appears 2 times, I will now do +1 times what? 2. Okay, we'll continue. Now that S we are solving for now, you don't need to calculate it. Just bring it down. The middle element, don't solve for it, just bring it down. Now we'll come here. What is oxygen? Number 8, which is 2,6. So the oxidation number is what? -2. Now I have done -2 times 4 because the oxygen appears 4 times. That's why it is -2 times what? 4. Okay? Now, let's finish it up. 1 times 2 is 2 plus S, right? Plus minus is minus. 2 times 4 is what? 8 equal to 0. So we make S the subject of the formula. Okay, now we have S will now be 0. Bring this one here. -2, right? Bring this one here. Plus what? 8. Now we have 0 minus 2 plus 8 on your calculator will give you plus 6. Okay? Now, let us name the element. Let us name the compound. I have found the sulfur we're looking for. So the name will now be, you pick it, you call the first element first, which is sodium. You write it down. Sodium. Are you following? Then from this one, this thing now, you already know the pronunciation. This is tetraoxosulfate. Tetraoxosulfate. So it is tetraoxosulfate. Now, this 6 you got here for the sulfur, put it here. So it is now tetraoxosulfate 6. So the 6 you are going to put here, you have to solve for it. That is how to name a compound. Now, let me quickly solve another example. Let's take this one. Let us find the Iupac name of this compound. Now, once again, locate the middle element. What is the middle element? Carbon. So we solve for it. We use these two to find it. What is calcium? Calcium is number 20, which is 2882. So the oxidation number is what? +2. We now have C. You don't need to solve that middle one. Always bring it down. Oxygen is, we've already done it before. Oxygen is number 8, which is 26. So the oxidation number is what? -2. So why do I have times 3 here? Because 3 appears here, right? Now we have plus minus is minus. 2 times 3 is what? 6. We now make C the subject of the formula. So what do we have now? C will now be 0 minus 2 plus 6. If you do 0 minus 2 plus 6, you get +4. Now, this +4 is the oxidation state of carbon in this compound. I take it again. This +4 we have found now is the oxidation state of this carbon in this compound. Now, what will be the name? Like we did in the other example, the first element comes down. Calcium. Okay. Now, what is this? Trioxocarbonate. Trioxocarbonate. O means 3 means tri. So trioxocarbonate 4. Why is it 4? Because I have 4 as my answer here. So the answer you have here, put it there. Are you following? Now, let me take it a bit higher. Let me take it a bit higher. If you are given this thing to pronounce, what will you do? You notice that there is something there, right? There is something in a bracket. If you want to do it, it is very simple. We will locate the middle element as usual. Our middle element is what? Sulfur, right? Let's solve it. So the first element is aluminium. Now we have 3 times 2. That's plus 3 because aluminium has a position number of plus 3. Now plus, so let us go to this place and break it down. The sulfur we are solving for, okay, has 3. This 3 outside here now belongs to both sulfur and what? Oxygen. Meanwhile, this 3 here, this other one here belongs to only oxygen. So the one outside belongs to 2 of them. So if I want to write sulfur now, I'll multiply it by 3. Why? Because it appears 3 times. Now this oxygen, which is minus 2, we've already done oxygen before. Oxygen is minus 2. That's oxidation number. I'll first multiply it by 3 and multiply it by another 3. Why? Because it's also one of the owners of this tree here. Now we have minus 2 times 3 times 3 equal to 0. Sorry, always make sure you equate to 0. Okay? Always make sure that anything you solve here, you equate it to 0. Alright? Now we have 6 plus 3 times s is 3s. Plus minus is what? Minus. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Go to 0. Are you following now? We now make s summate of the formula by collecting like terms. This one over here, this one over here. So we have 3s is equal to 0 minus 6 plus 18. Because this one here is minus 6. This one now come as plus what? 18. Are you following me now? We now have 0 minus 6 plus 18 is 12. Check your calculator. Divide both sides by 3. Your s will now be what? 12 divided by 3 is plus 4. Okay? Now, what will be the name? The name will now be aluminium trioxosulfate 4. Okay? So, we have aluminium trioxosulfate sulfate 4. All right? So that's how to name a compound. That's how to name a compound. So solve for the element in the middle. Solve for the oxidation state of the element in where? In the middle. Okay? Now, finally, I want to talk about some special compounds you need to be very careful with. Some special compounds. Okay? Now, let me give you one. Let me give you if you are asked to pronounce the name of this compound according to Iupac, what you will do is this. If you look very well, there are 2 elements in the middle. I have hydrogen and I have what? Carbon. Okay? I have hydrogen and carbon. Please, anyway you have that hydrogen in the middle, that is not the middle element. The middle element is the other one that comes with it. That is carbon. Carbon is the middle element there. Okay, so don't ever assume hydrogen to be in the middle. No. Now, our middle element is carbon. We have established that. Now let's solve. So, what is sodium? I've explained that already. Sodium is number 11, which is 281, which is 1 plus 1. Now we have plus 1. What is hydrogen? Please, hydrogen is always the oxidation number of hydrogen is always plus 1. Is always plus 1. Because that's number 1 in the periodic what? Table. But there's an exception. Listen carefully. There's an exception. The exception is that if you see, anywhere you see something like this, if you see hydrogen as the last one, the last element, the oxidation number becomes -1. But if you see it either in the middle or as the first element, like here, if you see hydrogen as the first element or the middle element, the oxidation number is +1. But if you see it as the last element, it is -1. Please jot this in down. It is very important. Now, so what is the oxidation state of number of hydrogen here? That's 1, right? So we have 1. What are we looking for? Carbon, right? Oxygen is -2 times 3. So as usual, equate it to what? 0. Don't forget, equate to 0. Now, let's find the carbon. So we have 1 plus 1 plus C, plus minus is -2 times 3, 6. We now make C the subject of the formula. Now we have C will be 0 minus 1 plus 6. That is, all these ones, bring them over here, the signs will change. So we have C will now be 0 minus 1 plus 6 is 4. Now what is the name? The name will now be, I first have sodium here. I have sodium. Okay. Now this hydrogen, after the sodium, we call the hydrogen sodium hydrogen. You now call this one trioxocarbonate. Trioxocarbonate. So we have trioxocarbonate. Then you now bring down the 4. Have you seen it? So anywhere you have hydrogen, what do? You bring down the first element, hydrogen will follow. Then you now have trioxocarbonate. Okay? So be very careful when you are naming this one. And then finally in this series, in this particular section of the series, let me bring up something spectacular. That is number 5. Page 2. SO4. If I ask you to name this compound, please be very careful with this. Once you notice that hydrogen is the first element in the compound, once you know that hydrogen is the what? First element, then know that that compound is an acid. Once hydrogen is the first element, the compound is what? An acid. The only exception is water. Because water is what? H2O. Any other thing that starts with H is an acid. Are you clear now? Now, let us do our normal solving first. Now, what is the middle element here? The middle element here is what? Sulfur. So let's first calculate for hydrogen. Now we have hydrogen is +1. I told you, once it starts a compound, it's +1. Y times 2, because it appears 2 times. We now have plus S. Are you following now? Because we are solving for the middle element. Don't forget, always solve for the middle element. Then what is oxygen? -2 times 4. Why -2 times 4? Because it appears 4 times. Oxygen is -2. I've shown you already. So if I solve that now, equal to 0. If I solve that now, I have 2 plus S, plus minus is minus. 2 times 4 is 8. We now make S the subject of the formula. Now we have this one here, 0 minus 2. This one here, plus 8. Are you with me? Now we have, if you do that now, if you solve this, 0 minus 2 plus 8 will give you plus 6. Now I have I have 6 as my answer, but how do I now pronounce it? Now, look at what you're going to do. I've already told you that once it starts with H, that the compound is an acid. So what you do now is that don't call that H. Once H starts a compound, don't call the H. That is the only element you don't call the name when it starts a compound. So you rather just call the second one tetraoxosulfate. Don't call hydrogen. You just write tetraoxosulfate 6. Where is 6 coming from? This plus 6 now, that's it, okay? Just write acid. The acid you are writing here shows that hydrogen is the first element. So the hydrogen, if you don't pronounce it, rather you call it acid and it comes second. Do you understand? So anytime hydrogen starts a compound, you don't mention the name of that hydrogen. Rather, you call the compound acid after naming the second part of the compound. Is it clear? Fine. Now, I believe with what I've explained, you can name any compound now. Pick any compound, name it, but make sure you solve for the oxidation state of the element in the middle. Okay, solve for that element in the middle before you now name the compound. Okay, now on a final note here, I would like you to copy these compounds and try naming them. Copy these ones. K2CO3, try to name it. Then NaNO3, then CaNO32, then we have NaHSO3. Try naming these compounds. Just use them to practice. I believe you get better along the line. Okay. Now, that's the end of this video. Please, if you have learned something from this video, hit the like button for us. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, if you have not followed the channel, please click on that subscribe button there. You only click it once, and that's all. So if you have not clicked on it before in this channel, just click on it, and that's all. Then you can also tap that bell icon there, so that once we post any video, you'll be notified. Okay, that is it for this video. I believe you can write the Iupac name of any chemical formula given to you. In the next video of this series, which is a very important section, I'll be talking about chemical equations. How you write chemical equations and how you balance chemical equations. Okay, so thank you very much for coming. I will see you in the next